Welcome to Butterflies and Wisdom, everyone. Today I have a very special treat for you. I shouldn't say I have a very special treat because you guys get to hear a little bit about the other side of my life, which I really talk about on the podcast, and the person who's waiting to be introduced is Alie Walsh. Alie Walsh was my fabulous colleague last year, and so I got to experience the ins and outs of having a professional drama teacher teach the kids with me, and we had fun last year, and let me tell you, this is the same voice that I got last year in person. So, and let me tell you, this voice hasn't changed despite her being pregnant. And so I'm going to let Alie take it away.
Hello.
Hi. Well, nice to have you. Long time no speak. Nice to have you.
Hello. It's so great to be chatting with you again, Wynn. We had such a good time last year.
We did. And now, for my audience who may not know what you do and what you're trained in, per se, could you please explain where you got your training? And I didn't realize until I read your bio last night that you only got your training in 2013. You only finished your training in 2013. I thought it was earlier than that.
Yes. So I got my degree in musical theater performance from the University of Oklahoma, Weitzenho School of Musical Theater. So it was a conservatory style education, but on a state university campus. I grew up in Oklahoma and was always a fan of the Sooners. Oh, you are the Sooners, who are having a great year in football this year. But I always wanted to pursue musical theater. I loved singing. I loved dancing. And OU, even though it's in the center of the country, really has one of the best musical theater programs in the entire country. Our alumni are very competitive with kids who went to school in New York. Multiple kids. I graduated with 10 kids, and 2 of them have already been on Broadway. A few of them have done national tours, and a couple of them have pursued education, and then a lot, a few years older, a few years younger. We just have a lot of kids on Broadway and performing across the country, lots of people doing regional theater, and regional theater is what I did right out of college. I graduated in May of 2013 and came to Aspen for an apprenticeship with Theatre Aspen, and I performed that summer in You're A Good Man, Charlie Brown, and then I ended up staying around for 4 more summers.
You ended up staying around for 4 more summers.
4 years, 5 summers. I did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, Little Women, Cabaret, Mamma Mia, and Dear Edwina, all with Theatre Aspen, performing. And then I really fell in love with the education side of performance and theater with Theatre Aspen. And I had so many opportunities to choreograph and direct shows for Theatre Aspen. And then I got really involved in the community and ended up teaching for Aspen Public Schools, and then a year with Aspen Country Day School, which I absolutely loved and adored. And that's where I met you, and we did our teaching. And then I've ended up back in Oklahoma because while my husband was teaching in Carbondale, we got connected up with a little boy, Lucas, who we adopted, and wanted to raise Lucas closer to both our families are in Oklahoma, and we have great families, and we both come from large families. I have 3 siblings, and my husband Micah has 3 siblings. So we wanted Lucas to grow up near cousins and aunts and uncles and get to experience that. So we're back here, but we think fondly of Aspen regularly.
Well, a lot of people do. And just to let you guys know, Lucas does have Down syndrome. So Alie is planning on getting her master's in, what did you tell me, speech pathology at one point?
Yes.
And then she's planning on opening a dance studio for adults with disabilities in Oklahoma. And my God, because what Alie and I are coming to realize, and you guys know this by now, I have cerebral palsy, but when you hit adulthood with any disability, I mean from the smallest mental disability to the biggest disability like Down syndrome or cerebral palsy, the adults, how do I put this nicely, tend to get the fuzzy end of the lollipop, and the kids get more enlashed to school programs, and there's no way for the adults with the disabilities to interact because these young kids are on a totally different level than we are. So I'm really happy to say that within the next year, I think Alie said this, she is going back to school to get her master's in speech pathology. And is that wish still true since last time we talked, or has anything changed?
Yes, absolutely. I actually last, 2 weeks ago took the GRE, and I'm getting my applications all together to apply to different programs in Oklahoma for speech pathology. That is very much still my goal and dream and passion. I would love to get my master's in speech pathology, and be, either in the schools doing speech pathology and trying to add an element to theater with that. Like you said, doing theater for adults with disabilities. I think that's a huge deal because you do see having Lucas is in kindergarten, and he has so many opportunities through the school, through after-school activities. Inclusion is really thriving for him, and he is in a mainstream classroom. He spends his day in kindergarten with all the other kids. He gets pulled out for speech. He gets pulled out for OT. But what concerns me is after Lucas is done with school, and we have many years before that happens, but what opportunities will he have in adulthood? And I would love to be an advocate for that as, we're going to be living it in our own lives. I would love to be an advocate for that and help bridge some gaps there and create opportunities, not just for Lucas, for other individuals too. I just think that is something that communities all over this country really need to think about and help develop, and hope that we have people out there who can advocate for that so that there are more for our adults to be doing and be involved in after their school-aged years.
Well, as you know, and I don't know about it varies state by state, but as you know, in Colorado, and I do not know about Oklahoma, most kids are allowed to stay in the school system until they're 21, those with physical disabilities. But still, these adults need more opportunities and every which way under the sun. And they have done studies. I actually know another music therapist up here, and he now is working in the school district with able-bodied kids, disabled kids, and he told me he's in between what a counselor can do and what a school psychologist can do. So he plays the middle ground on that one. But what concerns me, and you know this from personal me too, it concerns me that all these adults with disabilities all across the country don't have the opportunities unless we start advocating, and I say we, meaning all of you, Alie, myself, everyone, for people with disabilities that grow into adulthood. And so what I think you're planning to do is wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful that you want to take this big, hairy, audacious goal on, and I wish you the best of luck, and I will be 100% behind you, and you won't know that. But for those of you who want to get involved in the special ed system, there's ways for you to do that without getting teaching a license. They're always looking for parapros, even if they don't have a teaching license. I mean, Alie, you don't necessarily have early childhood education license, do you? You came into Country Day with that musical background, and that was about it. I don't think you ever pursued a degree in education while you were out here. Maybe you did, I don't know, but I certainly don't have a full-fledged associate degree in education either. The closest thing I have is a group leader certificate from CMC, and that's an early childhood education. So what we're trying to explain to you guys, all my listeners, is you guys can go into the education system as a parent without educational degree, although the educational degree helps, but you guys can start in an after-school program.
Yes. There's so many opportunities for whatever you're passionate about, like theater, education, any kind of passion you have. After school programs are out there, and needing people who are passionate about that and passionate about sharing it with kids and getting them inspired.
Yeah, we just need to get adults with disabilities inspired to live their dreams, and that's another challenge and a half. But the advocates out there can't do it alone. We cannot do it alone. I mean, Alie is now, as I said, she's pregnant, so not only will she have an able-bodied child, she will have a disabled child, which is a whole different kind of fish. Down syndrome is a whole different kind of fish than cerebral palsy is. But we want to make this an inclusive environment with able-bodied kids and the disabled. So now, Alie, what is your favorite book that you can recommend to all my listeners if you have time to read? I know you don't have time to read right now.
I love anything Mitch Albom has written. I absolutely love and adore. My favorite of those, it's a little bit of an older book. I actually did a book report on it in high school, but it has remained one of my favorites, and I like to go back to it occasionally. The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. I love how it explores who has an impact on your life and whose life you impact. It's really a well-written book, and Mitch Albom is just one of my favorites. He has lots of great books. He did Tuesday with Morrie. every book he has written I've read, and I really enjoy.
People would know about Tuesdays with Moy. Tuesdays with Moy, from what I've heard, and I did not get it on audio tape, is about a man with autism. Not autism, Alzheimer's, isn't it? And
Yes.
is just experiences his life through that. And so people would know, my fan base would know Tuesdays with Moy, but you're talking about the lesson-knowing book of the 5 people you meet in heaven. And so what would be your best advice for the new teacher listening to this, or the new parent who's in the same situation you are now, with able-bodied child coming, and then a disabled child? Let's do the new teacher first, and then let's do the new parent. What would be your sage advice here?
Well, I would say to the new teacher, enjoy it. Getting the privilege to work with children is amazing. You learn from the kids every day, so enjoy it, and really take the time to listen to each kid and make each kid feel like they are an important and special part of the classroom. I really loved my time with the kids and can't wait to get back in the classroom. And for the new parents, again, enjoy your time. You know, Lucas has been with us a year and a half, and it's flying by so fast. And so all those little moments, enjoy those. And, yeah.
Yeah, so your advice is just enjoy the small moments here. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to now, when Alie gets her website together for speech pathology, and if she gets a website together for the dance studio, so I hope, I will give. We don't have it together right now. No, we do not. I can tell you that. I can tell you that Alie doesn't have that together right now. But as soon as she does, I will put it in the show notes, because I think this is a wonderful dream that she's doing, and just to help the disabled. And I feel like we should all help the disabled. And now, what would you say to the teacher, because it's almost Christmas, like, who's essentially done with the kids? I'm certainly not done with the kids, but I know there's a lot of teachers going into second semester who are absolutely burnt out. And would you say take a sabbatical, or would you say just enjoy it again, or just make that transition at the end of the year?
I would say, really look for those small moments to enjoy, and the humor and wisdom you can gain from just being around the kids on a daily basis is priceless.
Yeah, the humor and wisdom we gained from 2.5-year-olds. Trust me, you guys, we were teaching 2.5-year-olds, and we had a hard time keeping up with those guys. That's why Alie and I looked at each other at the end of the year. Well, Alie left, so I looked at the 2.5-year-olds at the end of the year thinking, do I want to be here one more year? No. Was I always worried about being a liability issue? Yes. So, no, I I decided to retire myself from teaching preschool, although I still do it on the occasion. And I have decided to go with third grade, as you guys know by now. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm actually more in the music program than I ever was. I don't know why they put me more in the music program than I ever was in the 11 years of teaching preschool, but so what? They put me more involved with it, but I love working with the older set, even though the older set presents a whole different set of challenges, and even moving from kindergarten to preschool. From preschool to kindergarten presents a whole different challenges for a kid with Down syndrome like Lucas has, and then bringing a baby into the mix. Yeah, God bless you for that, because I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could raise a kid with Down syndrome, which they adopted, by the way, and then raise a neurotypical child at the same time. So age difference, a small age difference, but not that huge. So, Alie, what would be a question to me that you would like to ask me and like my audience to know?
Absolutely. Well, one thing I'm curious about, as you know, my oldest sister also has Down syndrome, so I grew up with a sister with Down syndrome, and that really influenced my decision to adopt a child with Down syndrome because she was such a wonderful part of my life growing up. I knew I wanted my kids and my family to have that same dynamic. And I've seen such a change in inclusion from when she was younger. My parents really had to fight for inclusion in the schools for her, whereas for me with Lucas, it's the norm now. We're very lucky that the school really has him included in everything, and it's just a different culture now than it was 20 years ago. So my question for you is, do you see those differences in inclusion now versus when you were younger 20 years ago?
I do. I am 30 years old with cerebral palsy. I had to fight up until I was in high school, and now I have the biggest battle fighting with college, and that's a whole different story in itself. But I had to fight because I was privileged enough to go to Country Day as a student, and with the only, I'm going to put it this way, so I don't sound like a nigger when I say it. The only drawback with Country Day is they don't necessarily include people with disabilities in everyday activities, although they did me because my parents were such an advocate for inclusion. But as in the public school system now, you will find a kid with Down syndrome, you will find a kid with cerebral palsy walking next to the kid who's black and next to the Hispanic kid, whereas back in 87 and back in 90s, they were telling parents to put these kids in homes, and the 60s, the 70s, the end of the 80s, they were telling these parents to put these kids in homes. So inclusion wasn't a big thing. And I went to school with the draft of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I mean, the Americans with Disabilities Act and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, didn't come into play until 1992, and I was already in preschool, so God knows what they did with me while the Americans with Disabilities Act was still in draft form. So for me, in 2017, I'm seeing a lot of changes in the education system because of let's include the Hispanic kid, let's include the Down syndrome kid, let's include the kid with cerebral palsy, and let's not include the one-on-one aid per se. But as you said at the top of this phone call, which I think is wonderful, Lucas only gets pulled out for 2 specials, which is speech pathology, obviously, and then occupational therapy, which is fine motor skills. The rest of the time, he's with his able-bodied classmates, which I think is a huge change in the education system.
Yes, and he does get pulled out for a little specialized math and a little specialized reading, but
okay.
80% of his day is spent in the mainstream classroom. So
that's wonderful.
Thrilled, yes.
That's
thrilled
wonderful, and this is
school and
his
situation.
This is also in Oklahoma, so you guys would have to check state by state, but inclusion is pretty much a mainstream thing now. I mean, they wouldn't think of pulling a child out with a physical disability unless the child couldn't handle it, but Lucas and I can, so it all depends on the child's situation, if they can handle it or if they can't. But mainstreaming and inclusion is pretty much a normalized thing now.
Yes.
So do you have any other questions for me?
Yes. So as you are an adult now, what in the Aspen community are some of your favorite things you are a part of? And do you think that those things also reach nationwide, or do you think it's specific to Aspen, the opportunities that you have to be in the community and being such an advocate?
And people will tell you this, Aspen as a whole is not the most handicapped-friendly city on the planet. And people will tell you this. I mean, down the valley, Carbondale is more handicapped-friendly, and Basalt is more handicapped-friendly than Aspen will ever be. And people will tell you that because we have so many old buildings that they're not too handicap accessible. Cold. I mean, my office there's no way I could get up a ramp without assistance. And that ramp has been in my life for 30 years, and it's driven me nuts every single day since we built that building in 1995. And now that's my office. And so I think what people fail to forget is they must meet buildings to ADA code. But as I said, the thing I'm about to tell you about is walking in a robot goes nationwide. So one of my favorite activities that I have access to, and it's truly my favorite, is I am considered the only bionic woman with cerebral palsy walking in a robot twice a week. And And so that goes nationwide. I know this project started in California. You guys may have to find one in the state you live in. It's called the exoskeleton. If you just Google exoskeleton, you will be able to find it. They have a list of physical therapy places, and that's one of my favorite activities. And how we do it is how the program is set up is, surprisingly, it's set up in a normal gym. So I'm working out with able-bodied people, and it's pretty interesting to watch their faces as I walk by in a robot. I mean, people have not seen this technology, and unfortunately, this technology cannot travel, and I wish it could, otherwise I would be bringing it out to Oklahoma. And this technology cannot travel. I mean, the dang thing weighs 45 pounds, and that's just the whole exosuit itself. So that is a very interesting project that I'm involved with. But at the same time, Aspen is not handicap friendly, and I'm sorry to say that, but we're not.
Wow, I would love that, but I never saw you in the suit while I was there.
Well,
that is a regret of mine. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, well, you got way too busy. See, being a teacher is more, I get the easy end of being a teacher, you guys. I get to walk in, play with kids. Well, not play with third graders anymore, but I get to walk in, walk out. I don't have to do all the admin stuff that you guys do. I get the easy end of teaching, but unfortunately on Friday I have to wrangle kids at the holidays at a holiday concert, which last year I didn't have to wrangle kids, but this year they want me more involved, and which I don't mind doing, but I'm like, are you sure? But they want me more involved, so that's what I'm going to be doing on Friday, and I really appreciate Alie's time. I know she's going to scoot to go pick up Lucas. I think he's on Christmas break, or maybe he's on Christmas break on Friday, and I will keep you guys updated on Alie's big projects of going back to school and starting the dance studio in Oklahoma, because this is a vision of hers, and I'm sure she's going to need help funding the dance thing when it comes down to it. Yes, I said funding, because the disabled get the fuzzy end of lollipop when they get funding too. We get barely enough to live on. So it's like, no thank you. So when you start these new projects, you definitely need funding, and I appreciate Alie's time, and I will definitely keep you guys updated on what she's doing once she gives me the updates. And then I definitely appreciate you guys, and this has been a wonderful conversation, and please leave me feedback about this true teaching conversation, and then we'll see how it goes. Thanks to you guys.